Hey everybody, I am AR Mar, and what I watched today is Book 1, Episode 17 of Avatar The Last Airbender, The Northern Air Temple. This was a pretty good episode. I mean, it was really fun, it had some great elements. It also kind of revealed a theme about the show that I'm not sure how I feel about. But let's get to the episode. I mean, first of all, we find this rumor that gets Aang hoping that airbenders might have survived somehow. And so they go to the Northern Air Temple, as the title kind of implies. And on their way there, Sokka has a great line that, well, he's being completely pessimistic because everyone knows airbenders were wiped out 100 years ago. So, yeah. Katara's being all positive, like maybe we'll find your people, but Sokka isn't, and she even at one point says, "Are you calling me a liar?" And he's like, "No, I called you an optimist." Pretty much the same thing. That that was a really funny, cynical line. I love it. And then this episode, Sokka gets to show just how smart he actually is. But when they get to the temple, they find not airbenders, but people who are using gliders based off of the airbender design. And it is really awesome. Like, there's even one that's sort of built into a kid's wheelchair. He's the son of the guy who invented these, and it's just like, it's really cool seeing people other than airbenders use glider technology. Because so far up until now, that's been Aang's sole providence. It belongs only to him. And I kind of understand Aang's pain because as they're shown around the old temple, it's been filled with machinery, like all these old murals, stuff like that destroyed. I do feel his pain, and I agree with him that it sucks that they decided to, destroy this old art and all this old history to fit in their pipes and stuff. I really wish that the father, the inventor, had worked around it better, made it a way for everything to exist together, instead of having to knock holes in these things that Aang essentially says are, his history, his people, all this history gone for progress. I understand that point, but then Aang's rallying against why did you dare move into this old temple at all? How dare you try to refit it so that to fit your needs so that you can make a life here? And I get that it would have been better if they could have preserved more stuff, but in the wartime that's apparently been going on for 100 years. You'd think that, these people needed a new home. They're making one, and what really does the Avatar have to say about that when otherwise this would have just been sitting there empty, alone, a mausoleum, a tomb to the airbenders instead of being used by people to grow hope anew, which, Aang should be all for, but, I mean, I get his emotional reaction, it just doesn't really jive with me. And this show does seem to have a very strong, tradition good, technology bad mentality. All the villages and nations we've seen that aren't Fire Nation, they look like they've barely changed in the last 100 years, especially the way Aang reacts to them. They're steeped in their traditions, and the Fire Nation seems to be the only people who are trying to, advance technology-wise. They've got the, advanced weaponry, they've got the steam-powered ships that allow them to travel the seas faster. But they're shown as the bad guys and in a way they are, because they only use their technology for war. But at the same time, it's very much a you work with technology, you must be bad kind of mentality, and it's, I don't know, it bugs me a little because it's not the tech, it's not the wanting to advance that's bad. It's the way they're using it. But the show tries to make it very black and white. The old traditions are good. All this technology and urge to expand is bad. And yeah, it bothered me a little, partly because they were trying to... The inventor started out as very sympathetic, but then they kept trying to push this he is bad because he's working with technology narrative. I mean, they find out that he's been making the weapons for the Fire Nation, but that was part of, his only way he knew to keep the Fire Nation from destroying his home. I mean, he has the Avatar there now, but, the Fire Nation up till now is threatening him and his son, who is, a cripple in a wheelchair, to make these weapons for them. Like, I completely understand his side of things. That he's saying, like, I didn't want to do this, but the only way I could keep my family and the people with us safe was to work for the Fire Nation. The Avatar, like, Aang's just kind of sitting there going, it's like, you should have refused. And I'm just kind of like, look, not everyone's the Avatar, Aang. Some of these people, especially the ones that aren't soldiers, they're trying to make the best of what they have. They have to survive somehow. But yeah, eventually, they all come out on top, and it helps them defeat the Fire Nation and drive them off. But this also really bothers me because the Fire Nation, thanks to Aang's involvement, get their hands on a working balloon. The inventor hadn't been able to get this thing to work, and then Sokka comes along and solves it for him. Now it's in the hands of the Fire Nation. Nothing's gonna stop them from reverse engineering it, flying right back up to that air temple, and destroying it, because now these people who live there, they don't have the Avatar there to protect them anymore. They're screwed. But, yeah. All in all, a really solid, really entertaining episode. I just don't really agree with the philosophy in it. Well. Anyhow, I am ARMR, and I hope we all have a wonderful time.